Greetings, everyone. This is the Gardening Snail of Livingston, California, just trying to keep the community informed and local government as honest as possible. Today's video is a brief overview of the July invoice from Brenner. The whole thing was 20 pages long with a lot of redactions, and I'm going to try to keep this video as brief as possible under the circumstances. Before we start looking at detail, I want to start by talking a little bit about how I created the photos and spreadsheets you'll be seeing in this video. First, I converted the original invoice into a version of Excel. Next, I made it a little easier to work with by hiding the rows that had nothing to do with the services provided. Since there were still glitches remaining in that original spreadsheet, I created a second spreadsheet into which I could copy-paste the data about the services provided. But before beginning that process, each entry was assigned a record number. That way, after I sorted the services by type of service, I could then resort it back into the original order, which would match what was on the original invoice. I also color-coded services by the kind of service it was, and also color-coded which attorney or staff provided that particular service. After all the information was entered and color-coded, it was ready to be sorted and summarized. My main focus was to find out how much was in phone calls and emails, how much was analyzing or reviewing documents, how much was one attorney conferring or meeting with someone else, and how much was billed for writing, revising, and re-revising letters or other documents, which we'll see quite a bit of once we get into the billing records for the recall. With that out of the way, let's take a quick walk through the detail in the invoice, starting with General Municipal. Notice that the rate for General Municipal is $200 per hour, no matter who did the work. Tom Hallinan is shaded in blue. The law clerk is shaded green. Partner Nubia Goldstein is shaded a peachy gold, and Doug White, the managing partner, has been left white. The majority of hours billed was by Tom Hallinan at 15.1 hours, with a grand total of 17.8 hours at $3,560. After sorting, we see $1,080 billed for attending a council meeting and $680 for emails and related phone calls. We also see an email regarding the recall. Why it's in General Municipal and not in recall, I don't know. Here we see $1,000 for meeting with 3 council members, $100 for a letter, 4 redactions, $260 for reviewing emails, agendas, and correspondence, and $180 for telephone calls. Moving on to the billed hours for HR, or Human Resources, we see it's billed at $275 per hour, and the grand majority has been redacted. There was a flurry of activity on July 21st and July 22nd, and significant activity on July 27th, 29th, and 30th. With most of the hours billed belonging to Deborah Hinshaw Vieira, whose specialty is employment law, 12 hours at $3,300, followed by Tom Hallinan at 3.8 hours and $1,045. A quick look at billing for public document request reveals someone was interested in recent real estate transactions by the city, and there was also interest in the body camera video related to the arrest of an officer. As we get into the billing for the recall, one of the things I noticed is that most of the charges are by work done by what I think is the most junior member of the firm, with the initials AD. Another thing is that there seems to be a lot of analyzing and drafting and reanalyzing and revising stuff that was already analyzed, written, and revised. Here are the charges for July 7th, 8th, and 9th, where there was plenty of analyzing, reviewing, and revising. There was more analyzing, reviewing, and revising from the 12th through the 14th, plus a bunch of redacting of stuff we're not supposed to know about. More analyzing, revising, and redacting, plus a little conferring from the 15th through the 23rd. And even more analyzing and drafting on the 28th and 29th, which continued on July 30th. All that analyzing and drafting and revising and stuff we can't know about because it was redacted ended up totaling almost 71 hours and $19,470, with about $9,000 of that for stuff we're not allowed to know what was done or why we're being billed for it. But it sure seems to have kept somebody busy. All right, let's sort this thing out and see what we get. $357 for analyzing and revising letters, $1,485 for analyzing answers and drafting letters, $3,410 for analyzing blank petitions and drafting correspondence, $55 for analyzing correspondence, $3,190 for analyzing notice of intent to circulate petitions and drafting letters, $137 for a little conferring, and $330 for a few emails. Can't forget about all the stuff we're getting billed for that we can't know about, along with the reviewing and revising and reviewing stuff that was revised, plus a few phone calls. I don't know about you, but all this analyzing and drafting and reviewing and revising and redoing and reanalyzing, it just seems to be a little bit sus. Seems to me if you're analyzing and drafting exact copies of the same thing, the first one might take a little while to do, but the rest of them should be a simple matter of swapping out a few words and names and not take nearly as much time as the first pass. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments. Photo credits. Any views or opinions I express on these videos are my own and do not represent the views or opinions of the City Council or City of Livingston. Unless, of course, I am using direct quotes or video from City Council or other public meetings, then it's pretty obvious whose opinion is whose. Copies of source documentation available upon request.